Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English, and this is Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video we shall analyze a very famous poem, My Mother's Sari, written by Vaidehi, the famous Kannada writer. And here we are going to analyze the English version, the translation version from Kannada to English, that is My Mother's Sari. And in this poem, the speaker, the poet, has portrayed the emotional connection with her mother's sari, which serves a very powerful symbol of the mother herself as well as the life she has lived. It also captures the essence of mother's presence, the memories associated with her, and the emotional significance of her sari. So let's know about Vaidehi. Vaidehi is the pen name of Janaki Srinivasa Murthy. She was born in 1945. She published her first book of short stories titled Mara Gida Balli in 1979, and she has since then established herself as a significant presence in the Kannada literature. As a versatile writer, she writes short fiction, novels, essays, children's plays, and poems. She has two important collections of poetry. One is Bindu Bindige, 1990 publication, Parijata in 1999. She was born and raised in Kundapura district in the scenic Udupi district of Karnataka, and now she's living in the city of Manipal. So now let's analyze the poem stanza wise. In the stanza number one, the speaker, the poet says, there in the wooden box, my mother's sari, enveloped in white muslin with mothballs. So here, we know the white muslins means to say a white color cloth in which they keep some important object so that it can be away from some sort of mosquito and maybe some sort of, it won't get damaged if you keep it years together. Like just like mothballs also, they are similar to the camphor. If you can have a look at the images also. So the poem begins by describing the sari's storage in the wooden box, which symbolize here the preservation. How is it preserved by the speaker? The use of white muslin and mothballs, it suggests that how carefully it is protected. So here, the speaker shows here how her mother's sari is stored, is kept in a wooden box very carefully, and that is enveloped, that is covered in the white cloth that is white muslin, and which is protected by those small balls here, moth balls here, so that the sari should not get damaged with the passage of time. This image shows the care with which the sari is preserved by the mother. It also shows that the sari is not just a piece of clothing, but it's a cherished relic of the mother's life. एक माँ की निशानी है, something like this. It's a symbol of a mother's affection, right? So now let's move to the stanza number two. The speaker says her sense of order is in each one of its folds and the press of her palm. The way the sari is carefully folded and stored in the wooden box, which shows that how the mother is so disciplined. The careful folding and the storage of the sari reflects the mother's sense of order and discipline, which are imprinted in every fold of the fabric. The way it is folded, it shows that how disciplined she is. The expression press of a palm, that shows the physical touch and the care the mother has shown in maintaining her belongings, which symbolize here her nurturing nature. So the speaker here the poet here highlights her mother's attention to organize the sense of order, and the expression press of palm, it also shows the mother's loving touch. So this shows a kind of a belongingness, which sometimes we also show when we have some important clothes. So here the poet's sari is a symbol. The poet's sari is a symbol which shows here how her mother used to look after the sari and the other objects very carefully. Stanza number three. The poet says, a universe of ironing lies beneath the pillow, tiny packets of camphor, incense, and fragrant roots, her perfume. So in these lines, the poet describes how her mother's care and attention are shown through the simple and the everyday living things. Which are the simple everyday living things? Camphor, incense, fragrant roots. The universe of ironing means what? Her mother spent a lot of time in ironing the clothes, making sure everything was neat and orderly. It shows here how much effort she has put into her family life, how much effort she has put here to preserve the clothes like the sari. The tiny packets of camphor, incense, and fragrant roots. What does it mean? They are the small items that gives very nice fragrance. And these things are kept placed with the clothes to keep them very fresh. These saints, which are the parts of the mother's daily life, which becomes perfumetry. They are not the kind of the things which are bought in a store, but they are the natural smells, they are the natural fragrance that remind the poet of a mother. So when the poet looks at a mother's sari and the poet observes that that kind of fragrance still alive, which her mother used to keep all these objects to give the original, the natural fragrance, perfumetry one, I would say. So it reflects how her mother's presence is felt even in the smallest things she did to care for her family. So these camphor, incense, fragrant roots, perfumetry, fragrance, these are all gives a kind of the poet feels that yes, her mother is here when she touches the sari, when she experiences a kind of an incense, a kind of a perfumetry fragrance over there, right? Let's move to the stanza number 4. The poet further says, my mother's saris tucked in eagerness, coupled with the jingling of bangles, is the just to get down to work. Very interesting stanza this is. In these lines, the poet describes how her mother's sari and bangles show her energy and readiness to work. The expression like tucked in eagerness of the sari means what? When the mother neatly folds and tucked in her sari, it's like she's getting ready to start a task. The way she used to tuck in her sari, that shows that she was ready for her task. The jingling of bangles, that means the feeling of her moving quickly and happily when she used to walk. The bangles used to make some sort of sound that shows that how fast she was in her work, how rapidly she used to work with happiness, right? So together, the sari and the bangles show the mother's enthusiasm and excitement to get her work done, whether it is household work or some other responsibilities. So the poet finds here this is as a symbol of her mother's hardworking and lively nature. So this stanza shows here how the speaker's mother was hardworking. She was very much lively in her work, as well as the lively nature has been portrayed here with the expression called the saris tucked in and the jingling of the bangles, right? So let's move to the next stanza. Stanza number 5. You might be looking at these images also. I tried my best to incorporate the images with the expressions. The poet says lines running across a broad pallu, the unbroken bridges of an upright life, keeping all evil at bay, a cane to reprove naughty children. So in this line, in this stanza, the poet talks about the pallu. Pallu means the long end of the sari. The long end of the sari. That's called here pallu. So the poet is talking about the pallu and compares this pallu to her mother's strong and good life. How she's comparing Vaidehi. She's comparing this pallu to her mother's strong and good life. And one more expression you can see here, lines running across the broad pallu. That means the patterns of the pallu, which the poet is going to compare with the unbroken bridges, which symbolize here how her mother lived a very steady and honest life. So these bridges show that her mother stayed on the right path and did not let any evil come into her family's life. The poet also compares the pallu to a cane, like a chadi, like a stick. Something is used to scold and guide children when they misbehave. So this shows how her mother's sari also represent a role as a protector and as a teacher, helping the children to learn and behave well. So this very metaphorical stanza here has been used. In metaphorical stanza. We find so many images here. The image like of pallu, image of bridge, the image of cane. All these things here show that how disciplined the poet's mother was, how disciplined the speaker's mother was. Let's go to the next stanza. Stanza number 6. The poet says here, folds tucked into a knot, a mysterious treasure house of meanings, the pretty yellow Madhura Sari, with its green border of blooms. That queen was perhaps like my mother. Very interesting stanza. So in these lines, the poet is describing how the folds of the sari, tucked into knot, are full of hidden meanings, just like a treasure house, right? The sari, the folded sari, the tucked into knot, they are giving a very hidden meaning, just like a treasure house. That means the sari is not just a piece of cloth. It holds so many emotions, the deep emotions and the memories connected to the mother's life. So the poet would like to say here, the expressions like tucked into knot and the treasure, they are like a treasure house. So when she looks at the sari, she is able to recollect all the deep emotions and the memories which were connected to her mother's life. Now, the poet mentions here pretty yellow Madhura sari with a green border of flowers, which seem beautiful and special. So this sari reminds the poet of a queen. The moment the poet looks at this Madhura sari, the poet remembers a queen, suggesting that her mother was like a queen. She was as graceful, as important as a queen in the poet's eyes. So the moment the poet looks at this yellow Madhura sari, the poet recalls her mother just like a queen, like a graceful lady. It shows how the poet sees her mother as a dignified and elegant, just like a royalty, just like a royal person, right? Interesting one. Stanza number 6. Stanza number 7. The poet further says, endless in my mother's sari. The more I wrap it around me, the more it grows. I remember becoming a midget once, trying to measure it, trying to drap it. So in these lines, the poet says that her mother's sari feels endless. The meaning, it seems to go on forever. Though she says, the Vaidehi says here that how much she remembers, the memory goes on endless memories. So when she tries to wrap the sari around herself, it feels like it keeps growing and becoming too long to handle. Means to say, she's unable, she her memories that he refers to, the endless memories, right? Just like the length of the sari. Similarly, the length of the memories also keep on enlarging it, keep on increasing it. The poet remembers a time when she felt very small, just like a midget. How? While trying to measure and wear the sari. Nice. The poet says that when she was trying to wear this sari and when she was trying to measure the sari, she felt very small. She was unable to collect all the memories at one place. This shows that as a child, the poet felt overwhelmed by the size of the sari and by the importance and the meaning the sari holds, right? So that means to say that the poet is unable to conclude the memories which is associated with a mother's sari. Then now we are moving to stanza number 8. The poet says, my mother's sari, the latex of mango and cashew, a heaven of ranja, kapala, suragi, golden wheat beads arguing, the new year kani, the old rolling over each year, I yield to yield a new import, right? So in these lines, the poet describes her mother's sari as connected to nature and tradition. How her mother's sari is connected to nature and tradition. The latex of mango and cashew, the expression, the latex of mango and cashew here refers to the natural world. It shows how the sari reminds the poet of trees and the plants which are full of life and richness. So I have tried to brought the pictures of these three flowers, Ranja, Kepala, Suragi. These are the three flowers which are named with Ranja, Kepala, Suragi. So when the poet looks at her sari, her mother's sari, she associates this sari with the nature and as well as the color. So heaven of Ranja, Kepala, Suragi. So these are the different types of flowers in the plants, which suggest that the sari is like a beautiful garden filled with colors and filled with the fragrance from the nature. The next expression, golden wheat beads, which symbolize a blessing or good luck, especially during the new year. During the new year, this wheat beads here refers to the good luck from the god. So each year, as the old tradition continues, they bring new meanings, new hope for the future. Then we have phrase old rolling over each year to yield a new import. That means every year, while some things stay the same, new traditions, meanings, hopes are going to be added here. You will get some more new hopes, some more new tradition. So it's getting increased. It's getting edit. A kind of addition is happening here every year. So similarly, the sari also carries the rich tradition which is getting forwarded into the future. And this rich tradition will always be alive, will always be passed to the next generation in the future. So this is about stanza number 8. I'm trying my best to explain. Stanza number 9, the poet says, my mother's sari with stars all over its body shields those in distress from rain or shine. It glows uniquely in the darkness. So in these lines, the poet describes her mother's sari as if it has some stars on it, which makes it feel very magical, very special. The sari is seen like a source of protection, whether it is raining or sunny. The sari helps and comforts those who are in trouble or they need a kind of support. So even in the dark or in the difficult times, the sari shines in a unique way, which means the mother's love and care, which is symbolized by the sari, stand out and provide comfort no matter what the challenges come. It shows how the poet feels safe and cared for because of her mother's presence here. So that's about stanza number 9. Stanza number 10, the poet says, my mother's sari of voile or handloom with a small dream of silk. When the dream came true, father was no more. She wears it now, but the dream is gone. So, in these lines, the poet talks about her mother's sari, which is usually made of simple fabrics like voile or the handloom, the fabric which is used like from the handloom or the voile. But the mother once had a small dream of owning a more luxurious silk sari, something she really wanted. So the mother had a dream that she wanted some silk sari. But when she got the silk sari, it was bittersweet. How? Because by that time, the poet's father had passed away. The poet's father had passed away. And now even poet's father means to say her husband passed away. Her mother's husband passed away. The poet's father had passed away. Now, even though the mother wears the silk sari, the dream feels empty, right? Emptiness will be there when her husband is no more, because she can no longer share it with her husband. She cannot show the happiness now. The joy that should have come with the sari is no longer there, as as it is overshadowed shadowed by the as it is covered with the sadness of losing him. So it's quite a very plightful feeling here, because the mother, if the mother gets silk sari also, she cannot share a kind of happiness, because whom, because when her husband is not alive, when her husband is no more. So now the poet says that there's no meaning if my mother would have got the silk sari when my father was not alive. So now we are moving to stanza number 11. That is the last stanza. The poet says, there, my mother's old Udupi weaver's sari looks at me from where it hangs. I unfold it and envelop myself in it, uttering with a long sigh the word Amma, a word that remains forever fresh, however worn with use. So in these lines, the poet sees her mother's old sari, which is made by Udupi weavers, which is hanging in front of her. She feels drawn to it. Carefully, she's unfolding it, wrapping herself it, as if to feel very close to her mother. She feels that she's very close to her mother, the way she's unfolding it, the way she's touching it. As she does this, the poet softly says one word, Amma, that means mother. Even though she has said this word many times, it still feels refreshingly meaningful, no matter how often she is using the word Amma, because the word Amma always brings comfort and love, just like the mother's sari. So, friends, this is how the poem Mother's Sari is a reflection on the powerful emotional significance of a mother's sari. So a lot of imagery, symbolism has been used here by Vaidehi, the poet, which shows the essence of a mother's life, her love, her discipline, the deep connection between the poet and a mother. The sari becomes a metaphor for the mother's continuous presence, a symbol of the memories and the values she has left behind, a source of comfort and identity for the speaker. So the poet has beautifully expresses the themes of love, loss, memory, and the passage of time, making it a deeply moving tribute to motherhood. So after having gone through the poem, I found here three important themes. The first theme is here maternal love and nostalgia. The speaker cherishes the memories of her mother, I'm sorry, typo error, of her mother associated with the sari. Next, cultural heritage. The sari represents Indian tradition and the speaker's roots. Third one is here, emotional connection. The sari symbolizes the speaker's emotional bond with their mother, with her mother. Then symbolism. So we find here five symbols. First, sari. Sari symbolically represents the mother's love, care, and protection. Second symbol, folds. Folds symbolize the mother's organized and the orderly nature, how disciplined she is, and how with very good organized manner she does it. Then mothballs and camphor that symbolize the way of preserving the memories and the emotions. Bangles. Bangles represents the mother's elegance and beauty. And finally, pallu. Pallu means the decorative end of the sari, which signifies the mother's wisdom. Then finally, we find some poetic devices. One is the imagery. So a lot of descriptive imagery has been used here. The sensory experiences we find here. Then metaphor. The sari is compared to a universe, emphasizing its significance. And finally, personification. The sari is given like a human-like quality. So sari is personified here. So, my dear friends, this is how I have tried to simplify the famous poem, My Mother's Sari by Vaidehi. Hope you have liked this video. Click on the like button, write in the comment box, and share this video to your friends, to your classmates. And if you are not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe the channel. Look into the playlist. I have done the summary of all the lessons of the first semester BCom General English lesson summary has been done. And even you can see the description box also. You'll find all the links. So stay connected with my channel Mukesh English. In the days to go, you will also find the model question paper discussion in the important questions discussion also. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks a lot.